the bell to finish. Just let that sound wash over you. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone today? Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lower Bucks. My name is Karen Marcus, and I'll be your lay leader today, the first Sunday of the month of October, a new month, a second month of our church year. So that's your foreshadowing of the fact that there's some new information coming your way. But you might know that one of the roles I play is helping to craft the lay leader script for the services as a suggestion to what the lay leaders can say as they're standing here in front of you. And maybe I was inspired by some of the discussions for our upcoming adult religious exploration class with our guest speaker, Mark Bernstein, later this month, because we were talking about Unitarian Universalist. It's labeled the UU 101 class. And as I was trying to come up with this intro script, this thing just popped into my head. You might wonder, what does it mean to worship in a UU fellowship? So if you're asking yourself that question, I'm here to say you're in the right place, because we're all about being spiritually curious. We're always asking questions. We're always sharing our personal quest with one another, and always honoring each other's viewpoint with respect and support. The one truth that we collectively share is that our core value is love, which we commit to living daily in every connection we make. So, whether you're new, just visiting, a friend, or a member of long-standing, we are grateful for your presence and hope that you find this space a welcoming one where you too can be curious, drawing inspiration from the music and messages that you hear during this spiritual hour. Now I get to introduce to you our October Soul Matters theme, and last month I told you they came up with these two-word titles to the themes. There's an action and a noun. So we are cultivating compassion this month. And I like that not only because of the alliteration, cultivating compassion, but that idea that cultivating has a slightly deeper kind of connotation for what goes into that process for me, than the word growth. So think about that as I give you this introduction to our theme. Compassion is a sensitivity to suffering, but with a commitment to try to alleviate and prevent that suffering. It is the determination to address suffering where it arises, which is why courage and wisdom are at the heart of compassion. Compassion demands a lot of us. It means doing unto others as we would have done unto me. Compassion isn't always easy because, as Amanda Beam says, compassion is much more than a thought process or feeling pity for a poor soul. It is action, trying to remedy the underlying causes of suffering while internalizing the heartache as your own. Consider a Buddhist example. A few years ago, an elderly monk arrived in India after fleeing prison in Tibet. Meeting the Dalai Lama, he recounted the years he had been imprisoned and the hardship and beatings he'd endured, the hunger, the loneliness he had lived with, and the torture he had faced. At one point, the Dalai Lama asked him, "Was there ever a time you felt your life was truly in danger?" And the old monk answered, "In truth, the only time I truly felt at risk was when I felt in danger of losing compassion for my jailers." Compassion goes beyond your feelings of empathy and altruism and asks you to step forward to alleviate that suffering. Brene Brown says the heart of compassion is really acceptance. The better we are accepting of ourselves and others, the more compassionate we become. And this part really stuck with me. The Rabbi Esther Adler explains further, there's a hierarchy of responses when we encounter suffering. Pity says, "I see your pain." Sympathy says, "I understand your pain." Empathy says, "I feel your pain." Compassion says, "I am with you in your pain and I will help." Now, I know that was a lot to take in. So you'll hear it again through the month, and you can read it on the bulletin board, but I think there's some great messages in that theme for our month. So at this time, I'd like to invite Jeff to come forward to light our chalice as I read our opening words for the service. We arrive in this place where all we have to do is breathe. We don't have to impress or convince or win over. We don't have to be anything but who we are. May we be filled instead with presence. May we feel held in the comfort of our community, and may we discover new compassion for ourselves and others. May we meet this moment with gentleness. Thank you, Jeff. Those are the words of Kate Steinberg. And so let's enter this spiritual hour with a musical prelude brought to us by our very talented musician, Avi Wisnia. He has chosen this morning, Put a Little Love in Your Heart.
Thank you. This morning's song is performed by many people, originally Jackie DeShannon. This song comes to me from a little movie called Scrooged with Bill Murray around Christmas time that was sung by Annie Lennox. That's my context for this song. And a good song really works in many contexts. And so even though I'm thinking of like a Christmas carol with Bill Murray in my head, this song certainly, I hope, provides some context for Mark Bernstein's sermon today and for how we can think of compassion as we head into this month of October and head into our service today. So if you know it, feel free to sing along. Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh, please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by, still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know, we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide, kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart.
So if you haven't figured it out yet, our guest speaker is Mark Bernstein. So Mark has been a staple with us. He says it's better than a paperclip. But he came to us during our era of, well, you were even with us before COVID, weren't you?
What was that?
Were you with us before COVID?
Oh, I've been with you since dirt.
It's his dirt. So many of us know him pretty well. If you don't, let me tell you a little bit about him. He was a staff member with the Central East region of UUA, and he continues his work with the area congregations today as adjunct staff. And as you heard me say earlier, he's going to be with us, leading us through like a UU 101 adult RE session. So he's got a lot of good information that he imparts not only during his sermons, but in other venues with us as well. He's a 3-decade-old and counting veteran of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Delaware County and Media, and his sermon title today is A Standard of Grace. He shares this preview. We live in a time when injustices and indignities are challenging our Unitarian Universalist values and beliefs. How we respond depends on the amount of grace we are willing to show towards others. So let's explore the mystery of grace. But before we get to Mark's reading and sermon message, I'd like to invite Bill Appleton to join us for a message for all ages.
This is called the jobless umbrella. Have you ever had something somebody else needed? Maybe a snack or a toy or even just a kind word? You weren't sure whether to share it. Sometimes we want to help, but it can feel awkward or even scary. What if they say no? What if we don't know what to say? What if they think we're weird? This story reminds us how important it is to be compassionate, even when it requires us to move outside our comfort zones. It was a cold winter day, and the rain was falling in heavy sheets, the kind of rain that soaks through your socks and makes your bones feel chilly. Jenny was driving home in her warm, dry car. Her seat heater was on. Love those seat heaters. Her favorite music was playing, and she was looking forward to pulling into her garage and not getting a single drop of rain on her head. As she turned onto her street, she noticed someone up ahead, a man walking alone, soaked to the skin. No umbrella, no hat, not even a jacket. Jenny's first thought was, why would somebody go out like that today? Didn't he check the weather? But then she glanced in her rearview mirror and saw something lying quietly on her back seat. Her umbrella. A bright red, dry umbrella. It was just sitting there. Now here's the thing. Jenny didn't need this umbrella that day. She had left a warm garage and was heading to a covered parking lot. She was never going to be in the rain. But something inside her heart said, you have something this person needs. And that's when Jenny realized that she had a choice. She could keep driving, stay in her comfort zone, warm, dry, and safe, or she could turn around. Wasn't an easy choice. She had to do a U-turn in the rain. She had to roll down her window and reach out to a stranger. And yes, it made her nervous, but when she took a deep breath and she turned the car around, she pulled up beside the man, rolled down the window and said, "Hey, mister, I have something for you." And she held out the red umbrella. The man looked stunned. He took it gently and said, "Thank you." That evening, Jenny couldn't stop smiling. When she told her friend about it, I thought I was doing him a favor. But actually, I think he and his troubles did me a favor. He reminded me that I am brave and I can make a difference, even if it's a small one. What I love about this story is how it reminds us sometimes being a compassionate person means stepping outside of our comfort zone and doing something a little scary or a little unfamiliar. It also reminds us that this discomfort is worth it as it gives us a gift, the gift of growing into our best, most compassionate selves. So let's all keep making those brave U-turns.
Thank you, Bill. Glad you had the umbrella. So now let's sing our children off to their religious exploration class with a verse of Go Now in Peace.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of us surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
So this is the heart of our service, where we'll have a reading from Mark Bernstein, and rather than me popping up and down lots of different times, we'll transition immediately into a musical interlude while Avi kind of puts us in the mood and we can reflect on Mark's reading. And then I'll invite Mark back, or Mark will come back up with his sermon message titled A Standard of Grace. So let's listen to Mark Bernstein with a reading.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning. It's nice to be with you and with the people on Zoom. Bill is a really tough act to follow. He comes with props, and I don't have any props, but I'll try to work the umbrella in if I can. This morning's reading are the words of Thomas Fritz. To be human is to be aware of our separation. We want to love and to be loved by our friends, our parents, our children, but often we feel alone, not knowing the right things to do or the right words to say. The confession of our separation is an act of humility, a willingness to admit that we are not as wise or as confident as we appear to be, that inside we sometimes feel lonely and confused. The act of confession is the first step in moving into a relationship. So we first stand at a distance, feeling our separation. Then we turn and move into relationship, opening our hearts to other people, to the earth, to sounds of music. In turning, we feel a mutual contact, the reciprocal meeting of the fullness of life between one active existence and another. And we call this experience grace. In the face of a child, in the hug of a friend, in the sounds of a choir, in the flowers of spring, the spirit of grace enters our bodies and renews our souls. The words of Thomas Fritz.
That saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my
loving. It was beautiful. On January 15th, 1978, a funeral was held in Washington, D.C. for Hubert Humphrey. Remember him? Former senator from Minnesota and the 38th President of the United States. One of the attendees was Richard Nixon, who had resigned the presidency in disgrace 4 years earlier and was then living in virtual obscurity, shunned by a populace that had still not forgiven him for his past misdeeds. On this occasion, Nixon was reportedly made to feel decidedly unwelcome. People turned their eyes away and avoided conversation with him. Then President Jimmy Carter walked into the room. As he moved to his seat, he noticed Nixon standing alone. Carter immediately changed course, walked over to Nixon, held out his hand, and smiling genuinely and broadly embraced Nixon and said, "Welcome home, Mr. President, welcome home." During the Second World War, some soldiers serving in France wanted to bury a friend and fellow soldier who had been killed. Being in a foreign country, they wanted to ensure their fallen comrade had a proper burial. They found a well-kept cemetery with a low stone wall around it, a picturesque little Catholic church, and a peaceful outlook. This was just the place to bury their friend. But when they approached the priest, he told them that unless their friend was a baptized Catholic, he could not be buried in the cemetery. Sensing the soldiers' disappointment, the priest showed them a spot outside the walls where they could bury their friend. Reluctantly, they did so. The next day, the soldiers returned to pay their final respects to their fallen friend, but they could not find the grave. Confused, they approached the priest, who took them to a spot inside the cemetery walls. "Last night I couldn't sleep," said the priest. "I was troubled that your friend had to be buried outside the cemetery walls, so I got up and moved the fence." In April of this year, Sienna Coleman, a 17-year-old, drove into a horse-drawn cart near Bremen, Pennsylvania, killing 3 Amish children, 13-year-old Glenda Yoder and her brothers 10-year-old Daryl and 9-year-old Devin. The crash was ruled an accident. The 17-year-old driver's mother, Tracy Coleman, and her daughter, Sienna, were invited to the Yoder's home the following Sunday to attend their children's funeral. The Yoder family hugged Sienna, told her they loved her, and gave her Glenda's Bible to help Sienna heal. 3 stories of compassion, empathy, and generosity. 3 stories of grace. The author Anne Lamott wrote, "I do not all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are but does not leave us where it found us." And the beloved poet Mary Oliver offers this: "You can have the other words, chance, luck, coincidence, serendipity. I'll take grace. I don't know what it is exactly, but I'll take it." So what is this mysterious grace? For the purposes of this discourse, I choose not to couch it in biblical terms, as in God's grace, but in more secular language. I define grace as the willingness to show compassion, understanding, and even forgiveness in the face of challenging or difficult circumstances. It is the ability to honor our Unitarian Universalist values even when others act in ways that seem contrary to them. Grace encourages us to be kind and understanding towards others, help us maintain our composure and dignity in difficult times, and allow us to forgive ourselves and others, fostering peace and healing. We live in an almost incomprehensible world right now. I don't have to tell you that. All around us, democratic institutions are being dismantled. Innocent citizens are being detained or deported or separated from their families. Members of our community who speak out against the current administration are threatened or diminished or even fired. Standard medical practices in place for ages are being challenged, putting children and adults at greater risk of illness or disease. Much of this country's history is being whitewashed, books are being banned, and anything that is considered diverse, equitable, or inclusive is treated with scorn, wiped away, eliminated as if it never existed. And now the government is shut down, with even more threats coming to fire additional workers and dismantle needed social and economic programs. In the face of this attack on seemingly everything that we as Unitarian Universalists hold dear, it is so easy for many, including me, to want vengeance, to seek retribution, to see not only the Trump administration, but anyone who supports them as the enemy. Journalist Jack Hill, in a recent op-ed article, writes that, quote, "There is a part in all of us that prefers vengeance to reconciliation, rage to reflection, simplicity to complexity. That part grows louder when the ground beneath us shifts. And America right now is shifting, economically, demographically, culturally, in ways that unsettle everyone," unquote. The challenge to Unitarian Universalists everywhere is to resist the temptation to hate, to divide the world into victims and villains, saints and sinners. It is, as Jack Hill notes, a universal human failing. Grace enables us to stay measured, to balance emotion with reason and reasonableness, to withstand the temptation to judge others harshly or make assumptions about others based on our own values and principles. Again, Jack Hill. The real work is in daily moral choices, choosing curiosity over caricature, patience over outrage, complexity over simplicity. And for those of us with the courage to show grace, we find that dissent or disagreement with another should be met not with resistance, but as author Peter Block writes, with curiosity. Meet dissent or disagreement with curiosity. We need to get interested in how or why the other disagrees with us. Block says that creating space for dissent is the way diversity gets valued in the world. And inviting dissent into the conversation is how we show respect for a wide range of beliefs. We may not agree with the dissenting opinion. In fact, when it comes to the great Donald Trump divide, I'm pretty sure we won't. I know I won't. But it doesn't absolve us from making the attempt. The rapper and singer Lecrae advises that we, quote, believe the best about people, pray for their shortcomings. You are not the standard. We all need grace. Grace also means remaining steadfast to one of our core principles, that is, respecting the inherent worth and dignity of all persons. In these challenging times, that is difficult to do, isn't it? But what if, in the statement, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we place the emphasis not on the person, but on our need to affirm and promote? In doing so, it shifts the onus from the acts of others to our own responsibility to continue to believe in people, to continue to believe that goodness and mercy is possible everywhere, even in the face of actions and beliefs that run contrary to our own sense of what is right. To put it another way, regardless of the actions of others, I still have a commitment to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not carry the responsibility for the ways in which others treat their fellow human beings. We can only hold ourselves accountable for the way in which we treat others. And this concept of grace means not only showing others grace, but giving ourselves grace as well. The quote behind me speaks to that well. Treating ourselves well, forgiving ourselves, quite simply taking it easy on ourselves. Whether it is work or family or social relationships or community obligations or the unrelentless parade of distressing news, we tend to push ourselves, demanding more and more of ourselves. In the hard moments of our lives, it is easy to forget the importance of giving ourselves grace. Grace enables us to take care of ourselves in these trying times. The author and motivational speaker, the aforementioned Brené Brown, coined the phrase, "I will hold myself to a standard of grace, not perfection." I will hold myself to a standard of grace, not perfection. It reflects the idea of embracing self-compassion and allowing room for personal growth rather than striving for unrealistic perfection. It's a reminder that we are not defined by our mistakes, our shortcomings, or the perceptions of others. It acknowledges that mistakes and imperfections are part of being human, and rather than striving for flawlessness, one should aim for growth, resilience, and grace. It is okay sometimes to feel hatred toward others, not to act on it, but to feel it. It is okay sometimes to want to belittle or mock or diminish others who disagree with us. We are not perfect, but embracing grace over perfection empowers us. It enables us to recognize and reaffirm our strength, our resilience, and our worth without being paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. True empowerment isn't about being flawless. It's about having the courage to show up, learn, and grow despite challenges. Grace gives us the awareness to enjoy the subtle wonders and beauties of life amidst the tumult all around us. The face of a child, the hug of a friend, the sounds of a choir, the flowers of spring, as Thomas Fritz tells us in the opening reading. In writing this sermon, I was reminded of one of my favorite poems, one that has stuck with me all these years. It's by Wendell Berry, and it's entitled The Peace of Wild Things. Some of you may be familiar with it. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. So may it be.
Thank you for those words, Mark. They're an inspiration, a challenge, and a reminder I know all of us will want to take forward from us as we move from this space into our weeks ahead. But at this point in our service, it's a time of sharing. We'll begin with our offertory, and in the month of October, we continue to support the National Alliance on Mental Illness of Mercer County. NAMI Mercer's mission is to offer help and hope to all those affected by mental illness. It's one that touches just about everyone, because it's not only the individual who carries the diagnosis, but their family and their friends who are also affected. More importantly, NAMI works to raise awareness about mental illness and reduce the stigma. Through that message, you are not alone, and we thank you for your generosity this morning. Once again, as the great Gil Christenberry would say, gifts that are given with love are accepted with the deepest gratitude. We miss you, Gil. So as another form of sharing, this is the time when we come together to support one another in love and share our joys and our sorrows. If you have something you'd like to share verbally today, I invite you to come forward to this microphone and share that. And we don't have to have just joys or sorrows in any particular order. So whatever's on your heart, I encourage you to come forward and just be brief.
Hello, I'm Jeff Ellis. I have 3 joys. Last night at First Friday downtown, I met up with about 8 friends to celebrate one of our teachers at the Art Institute, beautiful exhibit. And one of the friends I went to art school with is also a friend that I grew up in the same town with, Ed O'Neill. And then Sunday, we had a potluck dinner, somber occasion, but I ran into 3 neighbors of mine that I hadn't seen for over 30 years. Then on Monday, I'm driving down the street and I see someone on the motorcycle who I also hadn't seen for like 30 years. We pulled over and talked for 20 minutes and exchanged numbers. An old friend who was an electronics technician. We worked in the 80s for like 7 years together. So it was a very good week. And a reminder for those who don't know, today's a big economic boycott. Don't buy gas or spend any money. There's a big protest against the Trump administration, if you didn't know.
Hello, I'm Rich Kelly. I wanted to say that on Saturday, a number of us went out and volunteered at the Help Center, and we were able to distribute various sundry items on the shelves for people in need, and that was a wonderful experience. Also, I wanted to point out that we have a change in the number of what was given during the summer to United Way. And the new number is over $1,300. So that's to you. And finally, we have a drive now to provide food once a month at the very last service every month. And we got some that we gave out, $50 worth of, no, 50 pounds, 50 pounds worth of material, food, yada. But we're trying this year to get up to about 1,000 pounds. Last year we didn't make it. I think we missed it by like 3-4 pounds. Crazy. All right. Thank you.
Melanie Talbert, I just want to thank you so much for the sermon. I really appreciated the part about giving yourself grace, because I feel a lot of us probably don't, and it really puts a damper on my life. So thank you. And just real quick, I think most of us, I just kind of was chuckling about this. Growing up, we may have all watched The Grinch That Stole the Holiday or Christmas, and how graceful the whole people in Whoville forgave the Grinch. It just came to my mind. I think it's still a nice memory, and I remember having a certain feeling as a child, not knowing, but that's what I think they had was grace.
I just want to share, my older son, Justin, was diagnosed with rectal cancer in December. He went through chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and then earlier this week he had surgery to remove anything that was left in there. The surgery was a complete success. He still has, a few weeks of rehab, but it looks like he got through it and he's okay, and we are just so grateful for the people at Penn who just embraced him and gave him wonderful, wonderful care, and he's going to be okay.
Anyone else? Well, whether or not you share it today, if yours is a joy weighing on your heart, we in this community join you in celebration, silently, but we're there for you. And if yours is a sorrow, we hope that you feel our sympathy and compassion. So as we reflect on those joys and sorrows, Avi will lead us in Blessed Spirit of My Life.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me.
And so as we begin to wind down this service, I invite you to join me in a meditation. In my spiritual upbringing, we had times of prayer. We don't talk about praying so much in Unitarian Universalism, so I enjoy a meditation because I think it's a time for us to reflect and sort of reset ourselves based on what we've heard and experienced during our spiritual time together. And this meditation spoke to me, not knowing much more than the preview that Mark had given us for his sermon message. This really seems to resonate. So I invite you to get comfortable in your seat, maybe put your feet on the ground, your hands in your lap. You're invited to close your eyes, bow your head if that puts you in the proper mood, but focus on the words. Spirit of community, we name the truth. There are people who make love feel impossible, who push every button that we didn't know we had, who seem almost designed to test the very limits of our humanity. Our hearts contract around these relationships like fists, protecting old wounds that never quite healed. We itemize their faults, build cases for our justified anger, forget that they too were once children who needed tenderness. Grant us eyes to see past the armor to the wounds beneath. help us recognize that cruelty is often just pain that has nowhere else to go, that the hardest people to love are frequently those who most desperately need it. This does not mean accepting harm or abandoning boundaries, but may we find the fierce grace to hold both protection and compassion, remembering that even the most difficult souls are traveling their own mysterious journey toward healing. When love feels impossible, help us choose dignity anyway. When understanding fails, let kindness remain. From Reverend Michelle Collins. And so, as we wrap up our service, I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing song. Avi has selected hymn 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Please follow along. If you are in this room or on this Zoom, you can sing along too. We just won't hear you. But go ahead, throw in your harmony. The words are up on the screen. Love will guide us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can move from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Thank you, Avi. And these are the words for extinguishing our chalice. Go forth knowing you are beloved and called to love boldly. May the compassion you've cultivated here expand beyond these walls, embracing strangers and difference with the same warmth you offer your dearest friends. Again, the Reverend Michelle Collins. That then concludes our service. For all of you on Zoom, we are so glad that you joined us, and we hope to see you again next week, either in person or again on Zoom. And again, I'd like to thank Mark Bernstein for his sermon message. It really was an inspiration. Thank you, Mark. For all of you here, please join us in the cafeteria for a conversation, a coffee and fellowship, and maybe a little chat with Mark before he leaves us to head home. Go now in peace. Amen and blessed be.